Monday, August 22nd. It's Pastor Trish. I am back from a week of vacation out east, and but it's good to be back and good to be with you all again. And so I want to bring to you just a few words about a couple of the scriptures that we will see on Sunday, and here on Sunday. But before I do that, just want to make sure that you have what's coming up in your calendars and in your minds as well, because unfortunately we are coming to the end of summer, and September will soon be upon us, and with September comes a change in our routine in a variety of ways, including here at Messiah, and our worshiping routines will change as well. So this coming Sunday we are still 8:30 inside, traditional service with live streaming on Facebook, and 10 a.m. outside, weather permitting, contemporary worship band service. And then starting in September, the first Sunday of September on the 4th, which is also Labor Day weekend, we've got, I think, a service that will be, I hope, a lot of fun for a lot of people. It's a service of blessings. It will be just one service at 10 a.m. It's a Messiah Worships United service, and we will be outside, weather permitting. It will be a service of blessings for our pets, back to school blessings, blessings for our health, and a reminder of our baptismal promises that God made to us, so that we can all be remembering and being reminded of the blessings that come with our baptism. And so 10 a.m. outside, and then that will be our last outdoor service for the season. September 11th, one more Messiah Worships United service before we begin our fall schedule. This one is our Homecoming Sunday, and so we have lots of things planned for that Sunday, including opportunities to see all of the different ministries that go on here and indicate your interest in things that you might want to be more involved in, as well as a flu clinic, and one service again inside, 10 a.m., and then we'll begin our fall schedule on the 18th, 8:30 and 10:30 services. Okay, enough of that for now. Our scripture, for this coming Sunday comes from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 14. We're in this phase where we're hearing lots of different parables and teachings from Jesus. And I have to be honest and admit that this particular Jesus, it says it's a parable. I don't really see how it's a parable, and I know I'm not alone in that. It's really kind of a teaching, and I'm just I'm struggling with why Jesus would even bother to give us this teaching. And so that's where my brain has been going. I'm going to read it and let you perhaps help me think about that as well. From chapter 14 of the Gospel of Luke. On one occasion, when Jesus was going to the house of a leader of the Pharisees to eat a meal on the Sabbath, they were watching him closely. You might remember last week's gospel reading where he healed a woman on the Sabbath. He does it again in the verses that are missing right now. He'll say what's missing from our lectionary is a few passages or a few verses where Jesus says, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath or not? They refuse to answer, and he does another healing. Then, when he noticed how the guests chose the places of honor, he told them a parable. When you are invited by someone to a wedding banquet, do not sit down at the place of honor, in case someone more distinguished than you has been invited by your host. And the host who invited both of you may come and say to you, give this person your place. And then in disgrace, you would start to take the lowest place. But when you are invited, go and sit down at the lowest place, so that when your host comes, he may say to you, friend, move up higher. Then you will be honored in the presence of all who sit at the table with you. For all who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. He said also to the one who had invited him, when you give a luncheon or a dinner, do not invite your friends or your brothers or your relatives or rich neighbors, in case they may invite you in return, and you would be repaid. But when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind. And you will be blessed, because they cannot repay you, for you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. This is the gospel of the Lord. So I'm struggling with this because what exactly is Jesus telling us to do? And more importantly, why? As I have read this, I think that while much in our world has changed from the first century to the 21st century, some things I don't think have. And where you sit and who gets invited to what banquet and why, and all of those kinds of questions, I think are just as relevant in 2022 as they probably were way back in the first century when Jesus is telling this story. And in many ways, it seems like common sense. Don't we all know that where you sit, be careful where you sit for a whole variety of reasons? And so, why is this important? But then he goes on and he talks about hosting, and not just hosting for people you know will repay you, or you might think about it the other way. Maybe you are hosting in order to repay people. But he talks about the fact that we should offer a banquet to those that we know cannot repay us. And I wonder about that. Lots of questions then that I have about this particular passage. Like, is Jesus really talking here about trying to reverse the order of the day, the way things switched, or is he really more talking about equalizing things? One of the folks that I was reading about or participating in a text study said, wouldn't it be great if you could have a huge round table where there were no places of honor, where we all just sat together in a way which offered equality? And maybe that's what Jesus is thinking about. Somebody else, as I have been pondering this, said, what would happen if everybody tried to jockey for the lowest position? Doesn't then the lowest position almost become like the highest position in a weird sort of way? And isn't that some sort of false humility if you always go for the lowest position? If you read the scripture in the Message translation by Eugene Peterson, I really like what he says, and I wonder if I've written it down here. He basically says you need to be yourself. You need to know who you are, maybe in relationship to all of this, and just let yourself be yourself. Another person quoted Brene Brown, who is a social researcher but has lots of good things to say about shame and guilt and honor and vulnerability and things. And he says, according to Brene, that fitting in is really about assessing a situation and becoming who you need to be in order to be accepted. But belonging, on the other hand, doesn't require you to make a change about who you are. It just requires you to be your real self. And so his wondering, or his argument regarding the scripture, is Jesus is saying, be yourself. And I really like that understanding. And the other piece that I get out of this is make the table bigger. It doesn't say, well, he does say, do you not invite the people that you perhaps have a debt to, the people that you want? But maybe it's inviting them and inviting others as well. Maybe it's not changing the table so much as making the table bigger. I don't know. Those are all the things I think we can think about. And then when you start applying that to what does that mean for church? And who comes to church? And who is in? And who is invited and who isn't? And do people have to be invited, or do people feel welcome? You get where I'm going. All sorts of questions that this offers up. And so to try to help wrap this up, because I don't want you to be with me for all afternoon or anything, I also want us to pay attention to our passage that we receive, or that we will be hearing again from Hebrews, from the letter of Hebrews, which talks about, I think, the ways in which we are expected to act as Christians, the ways in which we make that table bigger, the ways in which we invite those who maybe can't repay us, the ways in which we think about everyone and not just some. And so Hebrews chapter 13 says things like, let mutual love continue. Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing so some have entertained angels without knowing it. Remember those who are in prison, as though you were in prison with them, those who are being tortured, as though you yourselves were being tortured. Let marriage be held in honor by all. Let the marriage bed be kept undefiled. Keep your lives free from the love of money. Be content with what you have, for he has said, I will never leave you or forsake you. We then can say with confidence, the Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid. What can anyone do to me? Remember your leaders and then through their words, imitate their faith and remember Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. Finally, do not neglect to do good and to share what you have, for such sacrifices are pleasing to God. Again, I think it's almost another stewardship lesson for us. Give of ourselves. Give not expecting something in return. Give not expecting anything to be paid back. Be yourself and give generously of yourself and who you are. Hope to see you in church on Sunday. In the meantime, have a good week and wrestle with these words along with me. Thanks.